Maddie Ryan. We are back. Week 2. Week 1 is in the books. I was excited to have football this weekend. I know you were. Run it down. What'd you do this weekend?
I spent about 12 to 15 hours in front of my TV watching football, most of the time with yours truly, my co-host, just so we could be on the same page for you guys coming back this week.
Yeah, I put in a lot of work this week. I think we each had about 3 TVs going. We had a Sunday Ticket, Red Zone, the local game for both our areas, and we were talking all day long, making sure we were on the same page. It was just a great Sunday. But let's just get into who beat who. I'm gonna get started with my game, and shout out to T Lars taking the dub this week over me. Very close game, closest game we had this week. Tom Brady kind of screwed me there. Should have started my boy Josh Allen and Steven Gostkowski, man, missing 4 kicks. That hurt because Tanner had that defense, but got to give credit where credit's due. Congrats, T. Lars, on your first dub. I know you didn't have many of those last year, so hopefully you can keep it up this year.
We'll start off. The podcast crew is 0-2 at the moment this season. I ran into a bit of a buzzsaw in Joey this week. He put up the most points in the league. Congrats, Joey. Interesting fact, my team did not score a touchdown on Sunday. Every touchdown I got came on Thursday night from only Chiefs players.
Well, that's why you draft them, right? Alrighty, hopping in the next game, we got Harley and Sam. I know Harley was talking big game about his team after his first 2 players popped off for I think it was over 60 points between Adams and Ridley there. Honestly, his wide receivers showed up, played really well. He didn't get a lot of production out of his first 2 running backs, but Mostert, Ridley, and Adams killed it for him, and he got a good dub. So congrats to you, Harley.
Sean with a win over, I believe this is a Super Bowl rematch actually from last year.
2 years
win
ago.
over
Yeah.
2 years ago over Nate. Another big showing from Sean. Top of his lineup, Lamar and Kamara. Aaron Jones, I believe, also had a nice day.
Yeah, he had 16.
Came together really nicely for him and got a dub.
And then congratulations to Cub beating Casey. I think anybody would have beat Casey this week. So Cub got a little bit lucky. Good games out of Mark Andrews and David Johnson, though. Casey not even breaking 70. I think he's the only one not to break 100 even. After getting last year, that's not how you want to start the league off, not how you want to start the year off. But we'll see. Maybe Casey can make up some ground. But
Brutal, to say
yeah,
the least.
brutal for sure. All right, getting into some other stuff real quick before we get into our rankings. What was your biggest good surprise this week when you watched football? Just something that made you happy.
What made me happy, exacerbated a little bit by my own fantasy team, was Kyler Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. 16 targets, caught 14 of them. Almost got in the end zone on a nice long 35-yard play. It was good to see them take down the 49ers, just like my Chiefs did in the Super Bowl last year. I really liked it.
Yeah, Kyler and Hop. That was a fun game to watch, and those two are fun. I'm gonna hop in and just say Malcolm Brown. He was just fun to watch for me on Sunday night. Very physical. Tore up Dallas, which even though I got Zeke, I like to see the Cowboys kind of lose. But yeah, he's very physical, and it was just good to see. I don't know. I liked watching that Sunday night, and he dominated.
On my team now. Love
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Big pickup there. We'll get into that a little bit later. One bad surprise for you, something you were just like, this just ain't it.
Bad surprise, but also a good surprise for me was just how bad Tom Brady looked. A couple of picks, one a pick six, and an L in his first game as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I haven't been the biggest Brady fan for the last 5 to 10 years, probably. So, a little bit of a bad surprise. Was interested to see how he did with Arians' system, and it was not a good start.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just going to be how bad kickers were. I saw so many missed kicks over the weekend. I'm a big Pat McAfee fan too, so for the brand just wasn't repping it good out there in the NFL this weekend.
No.
I'm hoping that's just because they didn't get preseason, they can clean some stuff up. But that was a bad thing for me, kind of disappointing. Getting to the next topic here, what is one player after you watched them this weekend that you think is going to do a lot better than you initially thought?
Not that I thought he was going to do bad this year, but I like the look of Juju Smith-Schuster on Sam's team. I believe he caught 2 touchdowns. Went right back to being Big Ben's number 1 target and looked like he did 2 years ago when he kind of outplayed Antonio Brown.
Yeah, no, he had a great Monday night. I'm gonna hop in and say Josh Jacobs. He just looked like, I mean, he was competing against Christian McCaffrey on Sunday, and his team got the W. I think he had 3 total touchdowns. Just looked like he just was ready to come out and play this year. He was fun to watch. In and out of his cuts very quickly. Good after contact, everything. So I think he was drafted around. I think he was drafted in the second round. I'm gonna guess
second.
late second. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna guess that running back maybe around the 10 area. I think he could finish top 5, maybe even top 3 if he can keep it up. Maybe a little bit of an overreaction, but it's exciting. And getting the next topic, what is one player you think is gonna do a lot worse than you expected?
KC's running backs. I was going to say Nick Chubb, and then when I looked back again, I've thrown Saquon Barkley in there. Nick Chubb is in a full-on timeshare with Kareem Hunt, it appears.
Definitely.
And Saquon Barkley has no one blocking for him.
Yeah, that offensive line looked brutal against that Steelers defense who was all over the run game. I think I'm going to hop onto my own team, as disappointing as it is. Odell Beckham Jr., him and Baker just did not have a good connection on Sunday. It just didn't look good. Odell even looked disinterested towards the end of the game, not even really getting in the huddle.
Wants a trade.
Yeah, there's a rumor he's once out. I hope he gets out. I think, you get him in a winning organization. Fantasy-wise, that'll help him. But that was hard for me to watch, and I kind of was hoping he could be maybe a wide receiver 1. I'm really worried he's not even going to be a wide receiver 2 right now. But hopefully that will change for my liking. All right,
get him to New England.
Yeah, hopefully. New England or Green Bay, that'd be a big boost for me. But, all right, on to our next topic. We will hop back into the rankings. I know that's why everybody's here. They want to see where they're ranked. And, rightfully so. So, all right, I'm going to have week 1 rankings, and our new rankings are going to be on the left here. Me and Ryan did not do our rankings together again. We're probably going to keep it consistent. We're going to do our own rankings all year long. But starting off at number 10 for me is Nate. Nate really didn't do too much to prove that he should move up this week. I know Casey had a lot less points than him. But for me, I don't know. Nate just wasn't it to this week. And I just his running backs didn't do that good. Ingram had 2 points. And Joe Mixon didn't look much better. That's why Nate's still number 10 for me.
From first to worst, just like I said last week, you guys may think I was wrong, but I also called it. Casey's at my 10 spot. You can't put up underneath 70 points and expect to be anywhere else but 10, especially when they only have 1 game to go off of. His running backs looked bad. His wide receivers didn't look any better.
Yeah, I'm going to hop on that there. Casey was probably one of my biggest down movers, going down 4 spots. He was at my 9 spot. Our 9 and 10 are very similar, as you can see. And, he just did not put up points. You didn't break 70, only one out to break 100. It is hard. Also, if Brady and Evans can't get it going, I know they did have the 1 touchdown, but not a lot of targets there. The miscommunication there led to the pick. I mean, that could be huge for Casey. And as you already touched on, the running backs just, not a good week for him.
I've got Nate at 9, so 1 spot apart from Clayton. Russell Wilson's going to have to carry Nate's team just like he does the Seahawks. Mark Ingram's losing touches to J.K. Dobbins. Nate's got 2 Dolphins running backs on his roster right now.
Man, I don't even think it's the best one.
That's desperation.
Brutal. Alrighty, we'll hop into who we each have at 8. I have Cub at 8. And Cub, he did not get Miles Sanders this week because of injury, and then he lost Michael Thomas. I think that's huge. Michael Thomas is supposed to be out for a couple weeks there. That hurts Cub. Cubs team was already ranked kind of low for me. It only drops him down 1 spot. The Carson thing, Carson didn't look good either. Washington came back. That front 7 in Washington looks real good. But I don't know if you can't get it going and you have 2 Eagles and then your best player, your number 1 pick gets hurt, that's hard to move up in the rankings. So that's why I've Cub at 8.
Yep. I've got Sam moving down a few spots for me into that 8th spot. Running backs, Cam Akers, that pick, kind of looking a little bustish. We'll see how he's a rookie running back, so he could find his way more into the lineup as the year goes on. His wide receivers look good, but just not quite enough from that running back position.
Yeah, I agree. Because I have Sam at 7, dropped 3 spots for me. Yeah, the Akers thing, that's probably huge for me. That was rough to see. His wide receivers did do good. Both Julio and Juju Smith-Schuster did good. Drew Brees, he didn't need to have a big stat day because they were able to handle Tampa Bay pretty good. But I'm worried that's kind of what it's going to be like out of Drew this year. I don't see him needing to have that many big games. That roster is very talented, and they have 2 very capable running backs that can run it in. Maybe hurts Drew Brees' touchdown production just a little bit. Kenny Galladay was missed for Sam this week. Probably would have been helped him out in terms of his flex. Hopefully he can get back on the field soon, but I don't know. I mean, every time you get injuries, it's hard, and it's hard to move up when your players are getting hurt.
I've got my first positive moving person at Cub at number
Yeah,
7.
kind of
moving up
interested
from
in that.
9. Congratulations, Cub. He just kind of had a very not great day, but none of his players really underperformed. Mark Andrews played great. I'd say Carson Wentz obviously underperformed.
Yeah,
But when
there's
you're missing
plenty
your
of
second,
quarterbacks in free
yeah.
agency if he wants one.
I know I've been drafting quarterback high lately, but I know we both subscribe to the late quarterbacks. They're all kind of can be the same. David Johnson played really well. I was excited to see that. His wide receivers were solid. Once they get in the end zone, they can be putting up some big numbers. And I like the Darius Slayton pickup.
Yeah,
Danny
Darius
Dimes out there in
Slayton
New
pickup, it was good. I'll give him credit there. Coming in at 6 for me, I have Tanner. I know he beat me, but Tanner did not move much for me. I mean, 112, that's not a lot of points. I will say his wide receivers were kind of underwhelming for me. I was very excited about both Godwin and DJ Moore. And with Carolina scoring as many points as they did, to only see DJ Moore end up with 6 fantasy points, that was kind of brutal for me. I will say the one positive thing is it looked like Edelman was getting targeted a lot by Cam, but I don't know. That offense scares me a little bit with how many passing touchdowns they're going to get, that run game, just what they were able to do in New England in terms of running the football. I think that's going to be kind of the plan with the bend and not break defense that Bill usually has. Kind of worried about Edelman there. Todd Gurley, I will say that was kind of a positive, seeing him get 56 yards and a touchdown, even though Atlanta was getting smoked most of that game. Got to be a positive for him. And then Dalvin did good, and Kyler killed it. Kyler is so fun to watch. So really like that pick. And I think Tanner's middle of the road. I think middle, but he does have a lot of really good pieces in terms of, I think he does have pretty decent running backs. I think Kyler's good. Hopefully his wide receivers can get it going for him, but he might need a pickup or 2 there to help him out. And he did pick up Watkins, a guy who I liked, and hopefully that helps. That Chiefs offense should be scoring lots of points, so hopefully that helps him out.
We'll see if the Watkins pick is similar to last year when he put up 3 touchdowns in the first game and then didn't score the rest of the season. Hopefully not. I've got Tanner in the same spot. Clayton touched on a lot of the points. I'll throw in that I like the chemistry between Noah Fant and Drew Lock on the Broncos. He kind of it seemed like Noah Fant kind of put the nail in the coffin on that game. I know Clayton and I were talking. He kind of gave up after that touchdown.
Yeah, it's brutal to watch.
Yeah, I think Tanner's team is solid. Gurley, if the Falcons aren't losing, should be able to put up some decent numbers. Hopefully he's back.
Yeah, I'd like to see Todd Gurley have a good year this year after the injury thing and getting let go there. So we each have this one ranking the same. I mean, I have to rank myself at 1. I dropped myself 4 spots, and I think this is more of an honest ranking than my first one. I think first week I was a little bit biased about how much I've just dominated the league in the past, but I got a big wake up call this week, only putting up 108 points, getting the L. My wide receivers do really scare me. I must say that's kind of what I'm most worried about right now. I think both my running backs did fine. But seeing Odell to get 4 and AJ Brown getting 6, I will say Woods is fine. I don't know if he can be a wide receiver number 1 or a strong wide receiver number 1. I think he's more of a strong wide receiver number 2. But real worried, I don't really have anybody fill that wide receiver 2 spot. So that's why I dropped myself down as much as I did, and that's why I dropped Brady. Brady let me down this week, so he's got to go.
Cutthroat. I've got Clayton in the same spot. We got some similar stuff here. The other thing I'm a little worried about on your team is the volume of Kenyon Drake. I think he'll still be a good RB2 for you, but Chase Edmonds was definitely cutting into his workload. And I'm real curious to see what's up with Philadelphia, their tight end situation. See if Ertz is. I know Dart is still sitting on the waiver wire, I believe, and I think it's kind of eating at you. So.
Yeah, definitely. That's a little interesting. I don't know. I think I got to give it another week, but yeah, definitely something I've been paying attention to. Wow, both have Harley at
Oh
four.
man,
Harley
we
made
got
it. Yeah, Harley made a big jump here.
got some mirror rankings here.
Yeah. I'll touch on the wide receivers because I think that's where he had the biggest days. I mean, getting above 60
64
points
points.
out of two wide receivers is crazy. I think Calvin Ridley had a lot of garbage time points, which on a defense that looks like they're going to be absolutely awful, he probably will get more of that. So he looked really good. And then Aaron Rodgers, who Casey picked up, and I think is a good pickup, but Aaron Rodgers looked absolutely fantastic. And when you're the number one wide receiver with a quarterback throwing the ball that well, and you can get open the way you can, and are just trusted, you're going to benefit. I think Devontae Adams is going to have a huge year for Harley, and I think just his wide receiver strength right now is a big depth.
Great red zone target.
Yeah. I'll give you some points on this one because I'm trying not to take all these since they're mirrored.
The thing is, Harley scored the second most points in the league, I believe, 129.
Yeah.
I couldn't put him at 2, though, for the exact same reason I had him at 10 last week. His running backs underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler had about 9 points. No goal line touches, lost almost all of them to Joshua Kelly. James Conner, to be fair, got hurt, but Benny Snell looked good. Benny Snell was averaging 6.5 yards a carry on Monday night. And I think Harley's got some trouble at his running back position. I think he's going to run into issues there.
Yeah, and that was a good pickup by Casey. I know Casey, we haven't talked too much about the pickups, but yeah, Casey snagged Benny Snell. I think that helps him a little bit. But that kid ran with his hair just absolutely on fire. He was fun to watch. But yeah, I think that is a concern for Harley. I will say the way Mostert had his touches and was such a big part of that San Francisco offense makes me feel better there about his running backs because I thought that was going to be a three-headed monster between him, McKinnon, and Tevin Coleman. So the fact that Mostert did get as many touches as he did, I know he had that big long run and that's how he got a lot of his points. But I think that's definitely a plus for Harley.
We'll see how those touchdowns even out as the year goes.
For me, I have Sean also bumping up 5 spots. If you look at Sean's team, he had 127 points. Lamar Jackson had 30. I think Lamar's just going to be an absolute beast this year. Not that I didn't think he was going to be, but he is just going to be a beast. I think the way Kamara, he didn't get that many rushing yards, but he still put up 20 fantasy points. Only 16 yards on the ground, but two touchdowns. He's going to get a lot of work in the receiving game, especially with Michael Thomas out. That helps Sean. I think Aaron Jones, even though they were running kind of like a little bit of a three-headed backfield, Aaron Jones definitely seemed like the guy that was going to end up with the most points there. And then the other thing I'm going to touch on about Sean is Diggs had 8 catches for 86 yards with Josh Allen. I think that's definitely something that is good for Sean. That that's something that you want to see when you have a wide receiver in a new system. You want to see them and that quarterback definitely start working together early and often. So definitely good for Sean.
I like it. I've got myself moving up 1 spot at 3. I think I had myself rated about right last week. Like I touched on in the scoreboard in the records, the team didn't score a single touchdown on Sunday, which was brutal to watch, especially as my players got taken out on the goal line, which hopefully is not a trend that we continue to see. I'm hoping my team will continue to get better. I got some young players that I'm hoping will get some more exposure. Be trusted with those goal line carries. Even with an injured player, my lineup put up 122. Devontae Parker looked good. I feel solid about my team. DeAndre Hopkins made me really happy.
Yeah, definitely. I have Ryan coming in at 2. I think DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler, seemed like almost every other throw was headed Hopkins' way. They used him a lot, very often. I think he has a chance to definitely get over 100 receptions this year at that usage, and against a pretty good defense in the 49ers defense. I will say between Gibson and Singletary, a little bit of a concern. I think Gibson definitely looked better than Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber was the one that was getting those those touchdowns there. I will say Ryan had probably the biggest pickup this week in terms of Malcolm Brown. I think he could be a solid RB2, spending a lot of money to get in, but I think it'll be very worth it.
I'm curious, how much did you have on him now that waivers are done?
I had 28 on him.
Okay.
So you beat me by $5. I don't know, breaking 30 for a player is kind of hard. I was pretty happy with my Nyheim Hines pickup. Hopefully he can turn into Austin Eckler last year. Philip Rivers does like to target those running backs, so it's kind of my hope there. Was glad I snagged one of those guys, but Malcolm Brown is definitely my number one there.
Cool, and I've got Sean coming in at 2. Sean's team, I just see a path for his team to perform a little bit more consistently than my team. Pulling up the squad right now. And with the addition of, with Marlon Mack rupturing his Achilles, Jonathan Taylor is going to be a solid flex RB2 somewhere in that on a team that already
good point.
Has 2 good running backs in Kamara and Aaron Jones. Lamar looked like Lamar. T.Y. Hilton is the only person really on his team that concerned me, and he's got players to fill in Marquise Brown and Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Marquise Brown had a good week too. Forgot to mention him, but glad you brought up that Jonathan Taylor point. That's a solid point that I definitely forgot. Coming in at number 1, I don't think it's a surprise. He put up 154 points. Had the most points by a decent margin. Joey, I mean, all I gotta say, Henry 16 points. Jacobs 33 points, Thielen 27 points. I mean, Thielen looks like he's going to be a beast down there. Josh Jacobs looks like he's going to be a beast. Derrick Henry looks like he's just going to be, a steady guy to have. And then Chris Carson, 3 touchdowns, Ryan, or 2 touchdowns? I don't.
2, both receiving.
2 touchdowns, both receiving, but putting up 22 points. I know. Just look at that running back strength there, and in Joey's team, it's intimidating, and that's why I have him at 1.
Only thing I will say, and Joey, I'm not taking away from it, I've obviously got you at 1. Big benefit for Joey in garbage time this week with Thielen catching both of his touchdowns, Matt Ryan throwing for 250, 300 yards, and a couple touchdowns at the end of the game. Huge boost there. Definitely a good fantasy strategy. Could pay off. And then the only other concern I have is Chris Carson got out-touched by Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, that's definitely something to look at. But
that game was out of hand, so I would have been sitting players and resting players and not risking those injuries. So I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, no, I agree. The garbage time thing is definitely something to look at. I will say I think the Falcons will be scoring lots of garbage time points. So in terms of Matt Ryan, I think that helps him. I think the Vikings defense and stuff will probably be a little bit better against an Aaron Rodgers that maybe isn't so hot. So when they play some of those other teams, and they do have 2 pretty decent. I mean, they have Dalvin Cook, obviously a great back, but that Alexander Mattison guy, he's a good back too. Mm-hmm. So I think they will run the ball a little bit more, so maybe a little less garbage time stuff. And then Thielen having 2 touchdowns in 1 week. I don't know how often that happens, but I think he does have wide receiver 1 potential this year. And I think Joe might have 3 running backs that are RB2 or better, and I think 2 of those running backs are RB1 or better. So definitely good to put Joey up there. All right, we're rolling about 23 minutes. Anything else you'd like to add, Ryan, before headed into week 2?
I was surprised by Tanner's drop of Emmanuel Sanders.
I definitely agree.
I'm curious to see what kind of money ends up on Sanders this week. Tonight, I guess. Or I don't know this waivers process.
I agree with Michael Thomas going down to drop Sanders is kind of interesting. But
I'm curious if Tanner saw that injury report or not.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely saw that drop and shook my head a little bit there, but definitely a good week 1. Excited for week 2. We got Patriots Seahawks on Sunday night. We got Baker and Joey Buckets tomorrow night. So definitely some good primetime games. Definitely a lot of football on Sunday. I'm excited. I know Ryan's excited, and I know we're excited to get back to you guys next week.
Gotta enjoy these first 4 weeks with no buys.
Yep.
All 32 teams playing this week.
Love it. Alrighty, Ryan. It was good talking to you. Glad we're doing this again. Having a good time with it. Hoping you guys all enjoy it. And we will see you next week.
Let's wrap it up. You guys still suck.